Hello everybody and welcome back to Map Review Day 4. Alright, this time we're moving on to the circles unit. So we're going to be covering everything we learned about circles. On this first one, we're discussing area and circumference. Now if you forgot those formulas, that's fine. Usually you'll have a formula chart, but we need to use the formula. That's the important part. The area formula is pi times radius squared. The circumference formula is either 2 pi r or pi d, whichever you prefer. Because we're going to be finding the r anyway for the area, let's just use the r formulas. Now here's my circle. I've got a line going all the way through that has a length of 16.6. That's my diameter. I need the radius. I'm going to get that by taking half of the diameter. Half of 16.6 is 8.3. So, my radius is 8.3. All I got to do is plug in now. The area is going to be pi times 8.3 squared, which is 216.42. And my unit is meters squared. Remember, area is always in square units. The circumference is going to be 2 times pi times the radius. And I get 52.15 meters. Because I'm not finding the area, my unit is not a square unit. Example 2 says this is arc VW. That's this piece right here. Now there's many ways you can do this and think about it, but I'm going to do it one specific way. Notice how we have a straight line right here. Straight lines add up to 180 degrees. I've already got this piece here. It's 26 degrees. This angle here is 90 degrees. So that means the arc is also 90 degrees. But we don't know what this piece is. Luckily, we have every other part that makes up the straight line. So what I can do is I can add these two pieces together and then subtract it from 180 to get whatever remains. So we're going to do 26 plus 90. And then we're going to do 180 minus what we just got. And get 64 degrees for this portion here, VW. Number 3 gives us the line XU is 30 centimeters, so that's XU is 30 centimeters. Find the length of arc VW. That's the same arc as before. Notice this is the same circle we're dealing with here. Now, before we found the measure of arc VW. That's just the angle. Whenever it says find the length, that's actually finding the physical length of that portion of the circle. So there's a different formula we have to use for that. The formula we're going to use is N over 360 times pi d. This is also on your formula chart under arc length. The n refers to how many degrees the measure of the arc, which we found out on the previous question is 64. The d stands for diameter, which we can see here is given to us in the word problem. Once we have everything, it's as simple as plug in and let the calculator do the work. N is 64 times pi, and then d is 30. When I plug this in, I get 16.76, and my unit is centimeters. So that means that this portion from here to here is 64 degrees, as well as 16.76 centimeters long. if I took it and I stretched it out to be straight. Question 4, same circle as before, but this time we're trying to find the area of the shaded sector. That means this area here. This is referred to as sector area on your formula chart. And the formula is n over 360, very similar to how we started the other formula, times pi r squared. Again, the n refers to the degrees here, which would be 64, which we found from here. XU, it tells us, is 30, but that's my diameter. I need my radius. My radius would be half of that, 15. Once I've got everything I need, I would just plug it in. N is 64 over 360 times pi radius squared. And I should get 125.66 centimeters squared because we're finding an area here. The area of this pizza slice is this. Let's move on. Number 5. If GP is equal to pH, GP is equal to pH, these two small lines. GA is 17, ED is 37, and AB is 87. Find each measure. Okay, this one was the problem that kind of messed people up a lot whenever we went over this unit. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and mark everything that's congruent based on what we've been given. Because GP is equal to pH, we are allowed to say that this part of the line is equal to this part of the line, and these are also the same over here as well. We're also allowed to say that all of these arcs around here are going to be the same. So, if GA was 17, we can also say that GE is 17. We can also say that HD is 17, and HB is 17. Beyond that, we've got to try and find out what these missing pieces here are. Here's how we do that. We already know that here and here is 37 and 87. And we know that an entire circle has 360 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 87 plus 37 and then we're going to take however many degrees this is and subtract it from 360. 360 minus 124 and I get 236. So 236 degrees is split among these 4 arcs. Well, because all these arcs are equal, I can actually say this is going to be 236 divided by 4 perfectly, which should get me 59. So each of these arcs all the way around are 59 degrees. Now that I've got the whole picture labeled, it's as simple as looking at what it's asking for. DB goes from D to B. So I got to combine this part here with this part here. 17 plus 17 is 34. E to G is just this part here. That's 17. The measure of arc DB goes all the way here. So I gotta add these two pieces together. 59 and 59 is 118. FA, the arc FA, is just 59. And then the measure of arc DC, D to C, is just 59 degrees. Number 6. If the measure of PQS, that's this one here, is equal to 6x plus 1, and the measure of angle PRS here, is 34 minus 5x, find the measure of arc PS. We want to find this arc here. Now, this is a little bit in depth, so let's consider what needs to happen. First things first, because each of these angles create the same arc, see how they both end at those endpoints? I can say that these two angles are congruent. So, I'm going to start out by saying 6x plus 1 equals 34 minus 5x. And we're going to solve this. To move the minus 5x over, I got to add 5x. And to move the plus 1 over, I got a minus 1. To get the x by itself, we got to divide by 11. And I get x is 3. Now, the reason that I did that is because we learned that to go from an inscribed angle to the arc, we need to multiply the angle by 2. So I can find out what this angle is by plugging 3 in for x. I can say this is 6 times 3 plus 1. That's 18 plus 1 is 19. So the angle here is 19 degrees. To get the arc, I need to multiply the angle by 2. So 19 times 2 is 38. So 38 is my final answer. That's the measure of arc PS. Number 7 says, what's the equation of a circle with a center located here and a radius here? The formula for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. H and k are here and here. So let's plug it in. X minus, the h is negative 7 squared, plus y minus the k is 3 squared equals the radius of 15 squared. All we've got to do now is clean this up. Negative negative makes a positive, and 15 squared is 225. This is the formula for my circle. Number 9 says solve for x, and it gives us this arc and that arc. Notice that these two arcs make a straight line. Because of that, I can say these two add up to 180 degrees. So 5x plus 23 plus 17x minus 41 equals 180 degrees. And then solve. We know how to do this. Combine like terms. 5 plus 17 is 22x. 23 minus 41 is negative 18. To move the negative 18 over, we add 18. And then we divide each side by 22. And I should get x equals 9. Number 10, we've got, this is 90 degrees. And it says find the measure of arc VXW. That's V to X to W. All of this around here. Now to do that, first we have to know what X is. So let's make an equation to help us find out what X is. I can say that each of these pieces around the circle should add up to 360 degrees. So that's the equation I'm going to set up. 8x plus 90 plus 10x plus 9 plus 21x minus 12 equals 360, because we went all the way around the circle. So I used all of these equals 360. And we're going to solve this equation out. Combine like terms. Eight plus 10 plus 21 is 39x. And then 90 plus 9 minus 12 is a positive 87. And now we can finish solving this. It's just 2 steps. Subtract 87 from each side. And then divide each side by 39 to get x equals 7. Now, that's not the end of my answer. I still need to find out what the arc from here to here is. But now we can actually figure it out. Here's how we do it. We're going to plug 7 in for x for these two formulas. So I'm going to do 10 times 7 plus 9. That gives me 79. Over here I'm going to do 21 times 7 minus 12. And that gives me 135. Now that I know each piece of the arc, I can just add them all together, 90 plus 79 plus 135, and find out that the measure of arc VXW is 304 degrees. Last problem on the back. Write the equation representing the circle shown in the graph below. Now remember, the equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. H and k come from the center. So my center here is located at negative 1, 1, 2, 3, negative 3. And my radius is 4. This is my h value, this is my k value. All we got to do is plug these things in and simplify it. So I'm going to do x minus, the h value is negative 1, squared, plus y minus, the k value is negative 3, squared, equals the radius of 4 squared. Last but not least, we got to clean it up. Negative, negative turns into a positive. Negative, negative turns into a positive. 4 squared is 16. This is the equation of that circle on the graph. That is the entirety of day 4. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below or come find me, ask Mr. A, whatever it needs to be. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye.